going on, folks? Welcome back to the Finding Purpose podcast. My name is Adam. I am your host, and I am really grateful for all the feedback that I've been getting, both on Instagram and text and phone calls. Like, the support is amazing. I would love for you to also drop a review. That's really going to allow me to grow this podcast, reach a broader audience, and really impact the most people, because that's really why this podcast was developed. And at the end of the day, I'm very grateful for just the engagement, and I really am proud of where this has been going. Today, I have my friend Tony Peck here, and it's funny, just to tell you a little bit about him. He is known as the Godfather of Instagram. He reached out to me earlier on. We had connected, and we've been friends throughout this journey of almost a year and a half now. Tony runs Why Not You Media, based out of Westchester. He is the president and co-founder of Why Not You, and really does a lot of their business development, reaching out to businesses, engaging the local communities, but also on social media, obviously, developing his network. And I really wanted to invite him here to have a candid conversation, because there's a lot I don't know about Tony. And knowing more about like what his upbringing was and what led him to what he does so powerfully now. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Tony Peck.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to this. And that's a great introduction. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man. We met, I think, it was either Austin's networking event, when Austin became when he launched Safe Shield.
I think that the one at J House.
The one at J House.
That was the one, yep.
And it's funny because oftentimes you meet people in networking events, and you were very different when it came to a lot of the people who I had met, where you're like, listen, hit me up, let's talk, let's meet, let's do this. And, a lot of times you hear that, but you're very authentic about it. That obviously is something that you don't just learn, like, I think that comes down to like how you're raised and like your early upbringings. So, I just kind of wanted to talk, because that's one thing I don't really know about you, is like how you came up, where you're from. And maybe you jump into that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, no, I would love that. I appreciate that. So I'm an Italian-American, born and raised in the Bronx. And my parents, they're not immigrants, but my grandparents are immigrants. So I really learned a lot from my grandparents. I'm going to dive into a lot of that situation. But early days for me, I've always, like you said, to your point, some people, it's not something you can learn. You're kind of born with some things, and then you kind of just bring it out naturally over time, and you sharpen those skills. I've always been an entrepreneur, even before I knew what an entrepreneur was. Like back when I was in grammar school, I never had snow days. I always shoveled snow for money. I would hustle Yu-Gi-Oh cards, BB guns, like football sheets, like whatever I could do. This is from like 10 years old to where we are now, and I'm 30. So 2 decades of entrepreneurship, I would say, I've been in the game. And I had the privilege of working for my grandfather at an early age. I started working for him when I was 11 years old. And
what kind of business?
He had a pizzeria.
Oh, nice.
So he immigrated from Italy when he was 29, which is so crazy to think, because I'm 30 now. So to imagine being on American soil for the first time at my age, I couldn't even fathom that, right? And it always puts things in perspective for me. So he came to this country with nothing, didn't know anyone, had no money, didn't know the language. It was just him and my grandmother. And to give a better life to his kids and his grandkids, which he's done so, I think, pretty gratefully, which is awesome. But he opened up a restaurant in Westchester, and he had it for 20 years. Great Italian restaurant. But he never drove. So he would take a cab from the Bronx to Armonk for the restaurant for 20 years. Crazy. He would sleep at the restaurants a lot of the nights, just because it was a pain in the ass to go back a late night on a Friday or Saturday if he was in the restaurant. And he eventually downsized. He said, you know what, this is too much for me. I'm going to close up the restaurant. I'm going to open up a pizzeria in the Bronx a little closer to home. So he did that 2 years before I was born. So this is 1992 now. He opened up the pizzeria. He ended up buying a pizzeria called Tony's Pizza. His name's not Tony. His name's Gaetano. And 2 years later, I was born. Tony, his grandchild.
That's awesome.
So, by the time I was 10 years old, I was to start working with him in the pizzeria. My dad worked with him. My uncle worked with him, which was my grandfather's son. And it was like a family business. And my grandfather was always the one that worked there as the pizza man. So he retired about 10 years ago now. He was 81 years old, and he was still there every single day making the pizza. He didn't have a pizza guy. He was the pizza guy, which is wild. So I got the privilege of working with him for about a decade. Yeah, about 10 years. And I learned a lot about business, and who I am to this day came from those days in the pizzeria, which is so crazy to think. And you never realize it, because, you're in the pizzeria, and I learned about the pizza business, but it was so much more than that. He always taught me, too, was, okay, Tony, I don't have the best pizza. That's the reality of the situation. But I have people that come from me from Ardsley and Armonk down to my pizzeria in the Bronx because of relationships. Mm-hmm. So I learned at a really early age the importance of relationships in building and maintaining a business. And that always stuck with me. So who I am now and where I've gone to so far has really rudimentally come from those days in the pizzeria business, 10, 20 years ago now from when I first started, which is so crazy.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, like just having that, sideline seat to just good work ethic.
Yeah.
I think that's, really what how you described your grandfather really encapsulated. A lot of people don't know that Tony, went to Fordham Prep and he had like a 3.9 GPA and he was an Italian National Honor Society. That is the type of stuff that's super awesome. But, I did recently discover that you went to Manhattan College?
I did, yeah.
In mechanical engineering.
Yep, got a degree in mechanical engineering.
And what was the minor?
Math.
And math.
So I'm not just good looking. Also have a little brain in the head too,
But that's so funny because, when you made that decision to pick that as your major, what was the decision?
It's a good question. So I was just always money hungry. Growing up as a kid, we didn't have much. My dad was a union worker his whole life in Con Ed. And he had a good job. We always had food, clothing, and shelter, the main things, but anything extra you had to work for. So if I wanted to go to the movies with my friends at a young age, I had to have that money. So I had to work versus a lot of kids would just get the money for the movie or the candy, whatever the case. I didn't have that. So I had to work all those years as a kid to be able to do those things on the weekends if I wanted to. And most of the times it meant giving up the weekends. So by the time high school rolled around, all I knew was I just want to make money. It's all I knew about life. It's just that's my goal. I just want to make money. And I didn't love school, but I was good at school. Like you said, in Fordham, I had a 3.9 GPA, and that's a tough school, and I was in all these honors classes. But I just didn't love it. I'm like, this isn't my passion. I'm just good. I just get it. It was a natural ability, I guess. And I said, you know what can I do in college that 4 years in and out and I graduate, I can make good money? And I didn't know much. My dad's not a guy that went to college. And no one in my family went to college. So it wasn't like I can ask all these people for this advice. I didn't have a network like I had now. And I said, okay, well, law would be great, but I don't want to be in school past the 4 years. Doctor would be great. I want to be in school past the 4 years. I stumbled upon engineering. I heard that's good. You get decent pay. You're in and out in 4 years. You can go right into the workforce, and you need to be good at math and science, which I was. This sounds pretty all right to me. So I said, I'm going to be an engineer then. That's literally how I made the decision going into college. And while I was in college, everything just shifted. I started doing the engineering classes. I was with the engineering students. If you are an engineer and you're watching or you know someone that's an engineer, I'm not the normal engineer. I'm very social compared to most engineers. But I do have that brain thinking of the critical and analytical, which helps me in the business development, which is awesome. But I learned quickly, I'm like, this engineering stuff's not going to be my future. It's just not what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But it's a great skill set to have, and it was a great backup opportunity with that degree. So I went through college, and someone asked me, I want to say, I think sophomore year of college, maybe towards the end of sophomore year, what are your hobbies? And I was like, I don't know. I like making money, girls, like going to the gym, working out. I didn't really have, you're a kid. What hobbies do you have? I was like, this isn't a great answer, though. In 2 years, I'm going to be out of college, and you're a full-time adult. I got to have a hobby or two, right? So I kept picking my brain, what are hobbies I can do that maybe can help me advance to where I want to be in the future? And I'm thinking of all these things, and you're in college, you don't have a lot of money. You can't join a country club to be around guys like that. I was like, maybe cigars. I never smoked before in my life. Not a cigarette, nothing. So I was like, cigars, I think that's a good opportunity to be around guys that have money. So I said, that's gonna be my hobby. I'm going to jump on that. So I go down to my friend's room. It's a 10-man suite at the time. I tell them, okay, guys, we're off on Tuesday. Let's go down to Manhattan. We're at Manhattan College. We just hop on a train. We're in the city. Let's go to Cigar Lounge. We'll smoke some cigars. It'll be cool. It'll be a good time. And they all look at me like I'm crazy. And one of the guys says, I'll never forget this. What are you going to go jerk off old men? And I'm like, no, I don't know. We're going to go fucking find out together. I've never been to a cigar lounge either. Nobody came with me. Okay. So
you went by yourself?
I went by myself. First time I went to a cigar lounge is Nat Sherman right outside of Grand Central. They've been shut since the pandemic, unfortunately. But they're a really iconic cigar lounge. And the way the lay of the land there is it's 2 floors. The first floor is for the public. You don't have to be a member to go. You can get a cigar. You can sit down. And there's 2 tables, maybe 5 or 6 chairs around the table. And then the below area is the members-only area. So I go my first time. I don't know anything about cigars. I didn't know anyone there. I walk in. There's a bunch of guys there, 40, 50, 60-year-old men. I go in. I ask the guy for help. Hey, can you help me with a cigar? I don't really know anything. The guy gives me a cigar. I go and sit down. Now I'm sitting down with 5 strangers. They don't know each other either. Who's reading the newspaper? Who's on their phone? Who has the podcast in or something? And the guy next to me, I said to him, hey, I heard that was a good cigar. Do you have any recommendations? I'm brand new to smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, kid. Why don't you try this? Pulls a cigar out of his back pocket. And the guy across the table chimes in, oh, you should try these types of cigars. These are great. These are good for beginners. And then he just casual conversation. What do you do? Oh, I'm a college kid. I'm 20. Like, what? You're my son's age. You're my daughter's age. And they just loved it because everybody knows you don't really listen to your parents when you're younger because it's your parents. They're always going to have that advice there for you as you want it. So for these guys, I was young, dumb, and happy and just like a sponge. Just wanted to hear everything they had to tell me. I was so excited. And they loved that. So they were just spieling on me tax, business stuff, insurance, real estate, entrepreneurship. I'm like, this is awesome. So I kept going to these cigar lounges when I was in college. By the time I graduated college, I built this network of guys like Rudy Giuliani, the Prince of Philly, the owner of Bacardi. And I said, okay, I want to be able to capitalize on being able to do this as part of my lifestyle and be able to make money around this being part of it. So hence business development, where I can go do the mingling and build relationships in places while having a cigar and making these relationships over the cigar.
Dude, I think that's like awesome. And that's very much like what I do. I put myself in rooms that I normally wouldn't be in.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just being comfortable with being uncomfortable. I mean, I'm sure when you walked in there in like 20,
so uncomfortable.
It was just like, what, like so outside.
I could have walked out and not done it.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this is great. I could do it. It's like, there were so many things that had to go right for me to get to where I am today in that moment of the cigars. And it could have been as simple as me being too afraid to even say I don't know anything about cigars. Most people are afraid to tell people they don't know things. Me, I had to be super vulnerable. Hey guys, I don't know anything about cigars, but I'm willing to learn. What can you teach me? And then they start talking about other things past cigars I have no idea about. I'm a college kid.
Yeah.
And then I would chime in, I don't know this. Can you explain it more? And like just being vulnerable enough to ask those questions around those guys that are willing to be helpful, you're going to get so much more out of it than just sitting there and thinking and pretending like you know everything when you don't know anything that's going on.
Dude, it's so funny. And elderly people or older people are so ready to answer your questions and ready to share their knowledge and experience because, you're absolutely right. Their own family, oftentimes, they get wrapped into their own thing and where they probably want to spend time with their family. Yeah. They're like, oh, here's a young person who's willing to engage and hear my thoughts and isn't going to shrug me off like, oh, grandpa. Yeah. And, they dive right in. And often, for me, especially the older folks who I've connected with are the ones who I lean on the most, where I'm like, hey, you've done this for 20 years, your entire career was this, and now you're retired, I need to pick your brain.
Yep.
And it's added so much value to projects that I've been working on and really just making sure that I don't make mistakes that someone normally starting off in whatever venture I'm doing would. Yeah. So like as you dived into the cigar world, you also were coming to the realization that what you thought you were going to do in engineering isn't what you were going to do. Do you remember that aha moment when you were like, this isn't me, I got to make a pivot? And what was that like?
I've never been asked that question. It's a great question. I don't think it was a moment. I think it was just a series of events over time. So like, for instance, freshman year of college, I started my first business freshman year. I had a lip balm company, Tony's Lip Care, TLC for short.
No way.
Yeah, National Organic Lip Balm.
That's awesome.
I've always been hustling, man. Some people don't know that. People are like, oh, wow, you've been so lucky the last 5 years. I've been doing this for 20 years, entrepreneurship. People have no idea. I never did, like, I don't know, back in the day when you were like in grammar school, high school, it was like you go to the trip to the Bahamas with the kids. I never did any of those. I had to work.
Yeah.
It's like I've always been in the game. So freshman year was my first company, and it actually did pretty well. I had a big order from Sephora, but I couldn't fulfill it, unfortunately, because I had no connections. The irony of the situation. But I learned a lot. Had to open up an LLC, insurance, taxes, business credit, getting a credit card, stuff like that. Things that you don't know until you start a business post-college. I did that freshman year, way ahead of the curve. So through college, I tried a lot of different things like that. So I had the lip balm company, which I kept pretty much throughout college. I became like a listing agent with a realtor that was local just to show properties in between classes. I would be a bouncer at the local bar where we were at. I sold homeworks. I did football sheets.
You sold homeworks?
Homework, yeah. My business partner, Michael, we went to college together. He was super smart at math, so we would sell doing the homework for the kids, and we would go 50-50. I would get the deal, he would do the work, and it was great.
That's awesome.
And here we are today. We're doing the same thing. It's just different. We're selling different products now, which is pretty funny. And I tried all these different things. And at one point, I even was like, you know what? I want to work on Wall Street. They make a lot of money. So I applied to every investment bank in New York City. There's like 400 of them. I got like 4 denials, and nobody else even answered me. It was crazy.
Really?
But after that happened, I wasn't like upset. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to be an investment banker then, I guess. Like I just went to thing without losing enthusiasm, which is, I never realized how rare it was. It was just normal for me because I feel like a lot of kids, and if you're younger, even if you're a little older, most people don't try that many things and then stumble upon the thing they end up doing. But that may not be the thing that's meant for them. It might not be what their purpose is for because they haven't tried enough things yet. And a lot of people, they shame you for trying things and failing. I never had shame for trying and failing. I was excited that I tried it. And I checked it off my list, and this is one thing I know I didn't want to do. If you don't try stuff, how do you know if you like it or not? So just that alone, I think through those 4 years, I was like, okay, at some point, engineering's a great backup, and I could always jump into this once I have the degree, but this isn't going to be the long-term trajectory for me. And it was just that switch, I guess, when I came out of college, I said I had to make that choice right there on the spot. Like, I'm not going to look into the engineering workforce. I'm going to figure stuff out. And that's what it was figuring out, because I had no plan when I graduated. It was just I had money saved up because I hustled through college, and I have the degree. Worst case, if I need the money, I can get to work.
There you go. I love what you said. Like, I just tried a bunch of things and tried and failed. And that reminds me of, I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast, and he was saying that what he did was he just threw as many things at the wall and saw what stick.
Yeah.
And, doors are going to open, doors are going to close, walk through the open ones and see whether you can find your purpose within that avenue. Mm-hmm. And, that's something that I'm doing, very much so, where, I launch a podcast, I launch a business, I started public speaking. And when I did that, I was like, some of this isn't going to work, and some of these I'm going to have to pivot, and some of these I'm going to have to change. But at the end of the day, getting outside my comfort zone, because, I was doing something very redundant. And now, having done that, and maybe you could add some insight to this, do you feel that you meet a lot of people where they almost are kind of stuck in what they're doing because they just didn't take as many risks or didn't try as many things?
I think that's unfortunately the majority of people. Even people I see and come across that are successful. Like, they might just be at what they're doing for so long that they got good at it, but it may not be what their actual purpose was, or they might not actually enjoy doing it at the end of the day because they didn't try enough things to know what they liked or what they didn't like, and they just stuck with what it was at that time because, hey, you're 22 years old, you graduate college, you have to have your shit figured out and know exactly what you do for the next 40 years. That's not realistic to me. You should be trying things out probably until the day you die. Like, there's no reason not to. Like, I'm still trying new things out all the time just to see what's. And again, even if you do fail at those things, like to your point, you're trying all these new things now. None of it's a failure because at the end of the day, you're getting better. Yep. You're gaining skill set. You're gaining things about what you're good at. You're learning about what you're not good at, what you could sharpen, what you enjoy doing, what you don't enjoy doing. Those are all valuable lessons that we almost mock as society for failing. Because what do you do? What are you taught in school? You get a bad grade, you fail. Failing is bad.
Yep.
However, in the real world, when it comes to entrepreneurship, business, or even just your professional success, that's not the reality. You have to fail to get ahead. Without those failures, you're not going to get those lessons and those things that you're going to learn about yourself. They're going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, and one of the things you said is relationships. The more things you try, the more relationships you build in just such a wide array of different fields. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's something that has added so much value, particularly with this podcast where I'm speaking to a business development social media guru, and then I'm speaking to a behavioral therapist in another episode. Mm-hmm. But having that Rolodex and that diverse Rolodex is really what is so valuable.
Yeah.
And that's something that really I think is unmatchable. When people can hit me up and be like, do you know someone who does this? Do you know someone who does that? Having that kind of flexibility also puts me in a position where I can add value to other people's lives. Yep. So I'll be at the top of their phone list. One of the things that you do is you deal with a wide array of businesses, and they are all relationship based. I just want to talk about how you nurture relationships both on a professional level and a personal level.
I think that's the biggest thing. I'm glad you brought it up because I want to hit on that. It's not just about making relationships. It's one thing to make a relationship. It's a harder thing to keep a relationship. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I think, miss the mark on that. And I think it's tough. I think it's got to be inside of you wanting to do it because at the end of the day, the only thing that makes these relationships last for me is the genuineness of me wanting those relationships to last. And I do things in a very untraditional way. And you know this. But me, I'm constantly going out to events. If I know someone that's hosting, I go and I support the event, right? I'm promoting it for them. I'm introducing them to people that they can get value to. It's when I'm sitting down with someone for the first time, I'm asking, how can I help them? And then maybe the person they're looking to connect with, I know 4 of those people in my network that I can connect them to automatically. So keeping relationships to those people by making them new introductions, right, the people that I already have in my Rolodex. But on top of it, just staying in touch. Like my thing is on social, I don't watch most mainstream people. I don't know about celebrities, influencers. I have no idea what the public world is really going on. Maybe that's to a fault. I don't know, but it's done right for me because all I focus on the people that I know. I'm watching everyone's content that I know, that I'm around. I want to know what they have going on in their lives because now it's talking points. It's me being able to say, hey, I saw you were here. I was here too. Try this. Oh, I saw you guys did this. How was it? Like just being able to be curious and ask genuine questions because you actually care about the person goes a really long way. So my big thing is, and this is going to be a cool little tactic to tell people, if you want to utilize it, it's a lot of work. But I started doing this when I graduated college. So this is 2016 now. I was going up to my grandfather's house for Thanksgiving dinner. He's like an hour north. And on that ride, you know how college is, you just lose touch with a lot of people because they don't live in the local area. So just relationships fade out over time. I said, you know what, it's Thanksgiving. I'm going to go through my contact list. I'm going to text everyone that from college that I haven't seen in a while or that I worked with because I did a little engineering internship too. I just keep in touch with everyone. And I shot them all happy Thanksgiving message, individually, of course. It was like 40 or 50 people I messaged. Everyone loved it. I was like, this is great. I did it again on Christmas. Then I did it again the following year. And my list grew. It went from like 50 people to maybe like 100, 150, whatever. Nothing substantial, but just more people. I still do that to this day. Now, this last Thanksgiving and Christmas, I texted 1,800 individual people on each day. It's my entire day. Like I just sit from morning to night, 8 in the morning to about 11 p.m. it takes me, and I go through contact lists. I've had 4,000 contacts now, and I'll go A through Z. If I spoke to that person within the year, if they have any relevance to my life, like can I support them? Do they support me? Just like little things, like is there a reason to reach out to them? If there is, I'm sending them a personal text. And I did that to 1,800 people on Thanksgiving and another 1,800 people on Christmas this year.
That's why.
And those are the little things.
Yeah, no, I mean, but those little things matter.
Those are the little things that
it's funny. What would you say to someone, though, whose argument is keeping the circle small because how am I supposed to water thousands of relationships equally? At the end of the day, one of them will suffer. What would you say to someone? Because I recently had a conversation with a friend who said that, Adam, I have my circle of 15 to 20 people. Then I have this outer circle. And, I focus on that because I also understand, he also understood, like he goes to all these networking events and he meets all these people. And when I reach out to someone who I hadn't seen in a while, it almost comes off as fake. So what would you say to someone who kind of has that strategy where it's like, I'm just going to focus on intensely watering the relationships that I have as to not neglect them and for them to grow even faster?
So I do the intensity at scale, which I don't think a lot of people do or will do or have that. Like that's all I do is work. I don't do anything. I enjoy work that much. Like I genuinely just love growth and business development and like relationships. So my 18 hours a day are just always business. Like I don't really do anything. You won't see me at like a friend's first birthday, but it's just not me. That's just not how I am. I don't operate like that. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy business. So first off, I'm at an advantage where I'm playing 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I have way more time than that person probably, just right off of that. But even separate of that, if that's not you, which is the majority of people listening are not going to do what I'm going to do, if you're not going to do what I'm going to do and take the 18 hours a day, 7 days a week because you enjoy it as much and you want to do other things, which is fine. You have the balance. To me, what you have to focus on is understanding that you could still do more relations than you realize by being genuine. Like, again, I don't watch. Like, I have no idea what the fucking celebrity, like the Kardashians, I have no idea. I don't even know who the popular celebrities are nowadays. But I'm sure that person might. So maybe taking a little attention away from that person to start watching more of the people that you don't interact with enough throughout the year. So even if you just engage with them on social, and like me every morning and every night before I go to bed, I watch everyone's story that watches my story at the minimum. I also watch like maybe another 1,000 stories throughout the day. But in the morning and night, I go through everyone's on my story. I got about 3,000 views, give or take. About 1,000 of them have a story. I'll watch their stories because now they're already giving me time and attention to watch my stuff. So I should know what they have going on in their lives. Just doing something as little as that and making comments on those people's stories throughout the year, then it's a warmer relationship when you do want to reach out and have something to offer them. But again, to me, I don't usually go into solicit most people. I'm always leading with offer or value first. So that could be a new introduction for that person. Hey, I have an event coming up. Why don't you come on by? Like, that's it. Nothing crazy like, hey, want to work with me? Like, you know what I do. If you're interested in what I do, you're going to reach out. You're going to ask me questions. You're going to refer me anyway. And it's so natural that people don't feel solicited or pressured by what I do. It's just, hey, I'm going to give you value. I'm going to give you opportunity. And when you're in my network, it's valuable to have a lot of people in the network because then you really become the guy that always has a guy. So now when someone does come to you that you do want to work with or you want to build a deeper relationship with them, you have so many people behind you that you have a warm relationship with, you can make introductions to them for, and then you build a deeper relationship with that individual on the spot, which is super valuable. So there's ways to thread the needle, right? If you only have 10 or 20 close people, you have a less limited applicant pool to give value to other people that you do come across. So I try to give as much value to all the people. And again, using social is a great way to also stay in front of people too. Like me just showing my day on my Instagram story every day gets people to reach out to me that I can't stay in touch with all the time, but it's almost like them staying in touch with me at scale because they're seeing what I have going on, and then they're going to message me, and then I'll get to that message type of thing. You know what I mean? So there's so many little nuances about it. Listen, it's tough. It's not for everyone what I do, and I get it, right? But now what I want to bring home on this is I live by this philosophy, do more and get better. So at some point, you can only do, listen, you got to sleep, right? 17, 16, 18 hours a day. That's probably as much as someone's going to be able to actually physically work. You got to sleep 6 to 8 hours a day, right? So, okay, you got those 18 hours. Let's say that's full capacity cranking. That's all you're doing is working. At some point, you're like, well, that's all the hours I have. So I can't do more, but I can get better. So now I get better. Now, when I get better, it lessens my work from 18 hours to 15 hours because I got that much better. I made more optimized at those 3 hours. I got condensed because I'm better at that skill now. So now what do I got? I can do more now. Now I can go from 15 to 18 hours, and you rinse and repeat that process. I do a similar thing with relationships. Over time, the reality is you're going to grow. They're going to grow. Maybe you won't grow. Maybe they won't grow, whatever the case is. And there's going to be natural attrition of these relationships. But you have to have, I almost say the balls, to understand like, hey, sometimes you got to cut people out and just let them slowly fade to the wayside. So like when I do my November and my Thanksgiving, my Christmas text, that's kind of where I'll know, like, okay, this person, we're not really as close with anymore. There's not going to be much for us to go, whatever the case is. I'm not going to message them. Yeah. So I have 4,000 contacts. I text about 1,800. So just 50% of my list isn't even getting messaged because I'm not that close with them. But I have them in my contact list maybe from years in the past because you have your phone for like a decade, right? So that's part of my natural attrition of like, okay, every year it's a different group of people. And now my group is consistently leveling up because I'm so, strategic and I guess I don't want to say critical with not keeping people that are going to bring me or the rest of my network down. Yeah. And they're going to slowly, like, I'm just going to stop reaching out to them. And most of the time, if I'm not reaching out to you, most people don't reach out to other people. Like, that thing has been one of my biggest skills, too. Like, I'm so big on staying in touch, and most people aren't. Like, to your point, when we met at the network, I'm very intentful. If I'm going to say, let's get together, and we're going to end up getting together. Yeah. Most people are just like, oh, yeah, let's get together. We'll see you whenever. No, they don't ever send that text after, like, hey, you're available next Tuesday or Thursday this time. Let's get together then. Like, people don't do that. So if I stop doing that, they're just going to slowly fall to the wayside anyway. So that's how a good gauge of relation. Now, if you stop doing it and they keep reaching out to you, then maybe they're trying to make a big effort. Maybe that's someone I would probably keep back into the sphere of the network regardless because I can see they have that effort and that passion.
Dude, I think you hit on a lot of things, and I think that's exactly right. And I think that's what my friend was really referring to. It's like I'll get a lot of people who are like, hey, let's meet up. I get a number, and they just drown in my contact list, and they never follow up, and it's disappointing.
But now, see, that's where I take it that step further. Most people, that's what the majority do. He's right. But now he's upset that they're not following up with him. Why isn't he the one?
Well, he
on
will.
The aggression. Okay.
That's the thing is, he will follow up.
Okay.
And, I think it's like somewhat of a jaded perspective where he's gotten a lot of no's or not gotten a lot of, left on red, where he's like, all right, like, I'm just going to focus on the people who I see growing.
Yeah, that's fair.
And who can add value to my mission.
100%.
And, for me, it's funny because I try to make as many touches as I can a day. Mm-hmm. But I also am very selective where I can pretty much know where someone can add value and where they can't.
Yes. And where I can add value to them too and where I can't.
Absolutely. Yeah. Where we can mutually collaborate and it would be great and we can grow and we can harness our respective skill sets and really create impact. And sometimes I feel that I'm insulting certain people by not reaching out to them when it's really not that. It's just that I don't think it's a good fit.
Yeah. No,
maybe
100%.
The next project.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, I've grown to understand to not get offended and just kind of move on because at the end of the day, that's really them and not me.
Yeah. And same thing with saying no to people too. This is, I think, the toughest thing. If you're watching this, you're an entrepreneur, you've been an entrepreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur, whatever the case is, saying no is probably going to be the hardest part of it because you're going to have to say no to a lot of things that people expect you to say yes to. Like as simple as friends' birthday parties or weddings or baby showers. Like, forget about the business stuff, right? I'm not even talking about that stuff.
Oh, we'll jump into that later.
Yeah, we'll jump into that stuff. I'm just talking about the personal shit you have to say no to if it's not going to get you close to your goals. Yeah. And I have, it's a tough thing for me, but I really don't do most of that stuff for that reason of like, hey, if it's not conducive to where I want to go, I need to be spending the time focusing on where I want to get first, and then I can come back to those things in the future. Now, the bright side is if you are actually committed to achieving those goals and you're setting forth your entire path and your purpose to achieve those goals, and you say no now, at some point you will achieve those goals. Those people that you said no to will probably still be there and still wanting to hang out with you and see you because you became a lot bigger than you were when you first said no to them. So you'll always have that backwards leverage in the future. If you actually are making that effort to get to where you want to get to, they'll still be there. Yeah. Right. And if they're not, they're not. It's not the end of the world. Yeah. You had to say no to those things to say yes to what you really wanted. Again, you have to know. It really comes down to that self-awareness level. But I think that's one of the hardest things is you have to say no to a lot of things to really hone in on saying yes to the things that matter the most. And I want to touch on one thing too with the networking is I try to look at people where I ask myself a few questions, right? Can I work with them? Can I make them money? Can they make me money? Can I not make them money? Can they not make me money? Those are the 5 fundamental things I try to look for when I meet someone for the first time or if I just know them. When I do that, I can see how much value can I bring them and is there any value that we can have symbiotically, right? And then once you know the answer to those questions, I know who I connect them to based on those things. Now, for instance, if I know I can work with someone, then we should be talking about collaborations. How can we partner together to generate business together, right? Now, if I don't see us being a good fit to work together, great. But I know I can make that person money. How can I do so? What connections can I make them? I'll make them a few connections. Now, if I know they can make me some money in some way, shape, or form, that usually comes down to also connections. Yep. So I have more of an intentful ask on, hey, can you just send me people to do business with? Oh, great, Tony. That doesn't really fucking help me. But if I ask you, hey, I need a behavioral therapist, I'm looking to start helping with marketing. Can you make that introduction for me, Adam? You're like, yeah, I got someone in mind, right? Because I have more intent now with the ask as well. So just fundamentally knowing those things will help you, I think, garner the relationship direction you're looking to do right off the rip. Again, like I said, I'll meet someone for the first time. I'll ask him, who can I introduce you to? And they're like, oh, I want to meet an inspector and a realtor and an electrician or a psychologist, whatever the case is. I'll make those introductions on the spot. I gain nothing from it. I don't care. It's about adding value to the person I'm sitting with today and the person I'm making the introduction for as well. And that's how you continue making relations, because everybody likes the person that makes the money. Bottom line, right? If you make someone money, they're going to like you.
Yep.
And that's a great way to stay in touch with people by just sending them business, especially if they have a good product or service.
Hell yeah, man. And, one of the things I really wanted to talk about was, the art of saying no.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, and I am guilty of it myself, where I was a yes man, where
Me
like,
too.
yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could be there. Yeah, I could do that. And sometimes I didn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was doing it for someone else to be happy.
Yeah.
And that was something that I had to learn, that saying no is okay. And if someone else feels some type of way about it, that's not really me.
It's not you. No.
Because I have to do what's right for me. I have to protect my own peace and protect my own interests.
Yeah.
And, before it felt like I was being selfish.
Yeah.
And no, it's not that I'm being selfish. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time.
Exactly.
And frankly, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Or I just don't.
And then guess what? They're going to stop asking you anyway, which is the end goal you wanted regardless. Now they're not even going to ask you to go. Because they're like, oh, he said no the last 3 events, or whatever the case, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like business events, just things in general. And then you're like, oh, Adam said no 3 times in a row. I guess he doesn't want it. No, I don't. Great. Yeah. Now you just helped me have that relationship attrition that I didn't want anyway. And that's how you can slowly fade people. And again, the real people, they're going to understand. If you're busy, I never get offended by someone telling me no, they can't come, they can't make it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
You do your thing. Oh, Tone, sorry, I didn't see this message. I got back to you 2 weeks later. I get it. I'm busy. The real people understand, and they see that and respect it. And when you start getting around the level of people like that, you're like, wow, I was doing this right the whole time. And I felt like a dick, because again, you have to be selfishly selfish to get to where you want to be able to help others. You can't fill up others' cups if your cup's empty. So you really got to start saying no to things that aren't going to get you closer to where you want to be, in order to say yes to what it is that's going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's funny because, you host events, and I try to make as many as I can. And it's hard sometimes. And the people who, like you, who understand, like, I see what Adam's doing.
Yep.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
That's something that, like, I value so much, because not having to explain myself to someone and feed into their narrative that I don't care.
Giving an explanation on things.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned in business too, it's if you have to say no, you don't have to give an explanation. That's a tough, like, listen to what I just said, guys. If you're listening to this, like, when you tell someone, no, I can't go, I can't make it, I can't do this, you are not obligated to give a reason. That's a tough pill to swallow. For years, if I said no, I'm always giving a reason. There's no reason to do that. You don't have to. You're not obligated to. And if someone asks you why, fuck them. Like, they're not, that's not the right person you want to be around now, because your reason has to be enough of a reason to get you out of that.
Like, you need to qualify your no.
You have to qualify the no. That's crazy. If it's a no, it's a no. Whether it's my grandmother's in the hospital or I just don't want to fucking go, it should not matter the reason of the no. The answer is no, right? Yeah. So it's like, these are little things. No one teaches you this shit, right? Like, you have to go on the journey. You have to learn. You figure it out. And you got to see what works for you too, right? And again, you're getting around a circle of people. Like, I know what you have going. You have the gala coming up. You might not even make it to my event because you're I get that. I'll never be upset about anyone doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Those are people you want to be around. Like, I'll never be upset about someone not answering texts for a long time. Then I follow up like a month later, be like, hey, oh my God, so sorry, I missed it. You don't have to apologize. It's okay, man. I get it. I'm busy too. And you want that. You want to be around people that understand what you're trying to build to get to where you want to are, because they're going to help you get to that point because they get you.
Dude, that's what I love about the nature of our relationship, because we connect, and when we connect, we pick off right where we left off, and I'm picking your brain. And, a lot of times it's me picking your brain and you providing me with some guidance. And, like, I've been forever grateful for that, and that was a big reason why it made sense for me to, invite you onto here. But it's a relationship where no feelings are hurt.
No, yeah.
We understand that we are just both trying to move forward, both trying to grow. And if you need me,
yes,
you know, you can call me, and if I need you, I call you, and,
Yes.
and we show up for each other.
Yes, that's the biggest thing. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, we're here for each other as we need each other to help us get to where we want to be. And I'm always, you know me, I'm an open door. You need a relationship or an introduction, I'm always there. Shoot me a text, yo, Tony, I saw you with this guy. Can you make sure? No problem. I got you. Like, it's that easy. And I tell people that I was just on a phone call coming up here, and I told this buddy of mine, and I was like, I know you want to meet these types of people. If you see I'm with any of those people and I don't cognitively think of, oh my God, this is a good person to connect you with, just ping me. I'll make that introduction. But I'm with so many people all the time. I forget who's a good fit for some people sometimes. Yeah. So I'm like, don't feel bad. Like, this is part of our relationship, man. Like, reach out. Yo, Tone, you're with this person. Can you make that introduction? All day long, I got you. And that is how the relationships I want to build with the right types of people, because we're all on that same track together, and we're going to get there together if we do things like this.
The one person who's great on it, who I had on this podcast, is Sean Degnan. I love Sean Degnan.
Sean's great people.
Sean Degnan, you reach out to, and you're like, hey, man, I'm doing this. You know anybody? Boom. Literally.
Yep.
After we did my podcast, he connected me with like 10 people.
Yeah. No, Sean's
boom,
good people.
boom. And I was like, God damn. You know? And I was like, I was sitting there writing letters to people, and it was just natural to him.
Yep.
And he runs from the same DNA. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to pivot.
Sure. Yeah.
You talked about working 18-hour days.
Yep.
You talked about how you send 1,600 texts. You talk about how everything that you do is strategic, and basically what that is discipline. I want to talk about how you were able to adopt this discipline mentality, and I think you alluded to it early when you were talking about observing the way your grandfather worked.
Yeah.
And I also want to talk about how it affects your personal life.
Yeah, this is going to be the first time I talk about this story in any podcast or talk I've ever done, so it's kind of cool. This is the question that prompted it, so I appreciate it. It's a good question. I never got into question about how I became so disciplined, but what people never saw was grammar school and high school Tony. Now, grammar school and high school Tony, I wanted to go to the NBA. That was my goal.
Oh, shit.
I was going to play in the motherfucking NBA, okay? I was super excited. That was the goal. No, I was a Miami Heat fan. I love Shaq. When he got into the Knicks, and then you had Wade, that was my team, the Miami Heat. Then they won that championship. That was all me. I love that.
Really?
And my goal was NBA. But
2006.
as we can tell, I'm a white guy. I am not athletically better than anybody else that I know. I was fat when I was a kid. I had a mushroom haircut. Wasn't talented at all. So that required a lot of work. So from a very early age, I'm talking about grammar school, like 3rd, 4th grade, like just to make the team, I had to work more than everyone else. So my father, lucky enough, he bought me a basketball hoop for our house. And we had like a slanted driveway, so it wasn't the most ideal, angle to shoot on because it wasn't flat land. Like the free throw was a lot easier on the driveway because you're at the top of the hill. So I would actually roll the hoop up to the top of the driveway, so it was on the street, and I could practice on the street level where the thing was flat. And my summers from, I want to say, about 5th grade on, like through high school we're talking about, I would walk from my house to the park. It was like 2 miles away. And I would play ball with all the guys that were older than me, high school, college guys, the guys that can dunk, guys that can fucking ball. And I'd play there 8 hours a day in the summer. I didn't have summers when I was a kid. Like, people are like, oh, Tony, you work so hard now. This is all I've known since I was a child. Like, I never had summers of, like, hanging out. Never did that. Never. Now I'm enjoying a fucking hell of a life versus my peers at my age. But again, it's life by design, right? So I would be taking up all my summers just practicing basketball because I wasn't good. I couldn't jump. I couldn't dribble. I was like that awkward, like small power forward size. Like you got to be able to shoot. You got to be nimble. You got to be fast. But I was slow. So all I did was practice. And then 7th and 8th grade, grammar school, my dad joined a beach club. And it was a bunch of kids that we went to school with. And of course, we went to school with all the kids. So everybody's playing like manhunt and stickball and they're fishing and they're at the beach. They're doing that. I would just stay at the basketball court the entire 8 hours and just practice. In the heat, in the sun, by myself. Friends would come by. Oh, you want to play? No, I'm okay. I'm good. And the kids that are watching this, like, they know, like, the people, there's only a handful of people that know this, but they were there and they saw this. And I would get made fun of for it. It was what it is. But I knew I had to do that to get to where I wanted to be and to make the team. Right? It wasn't just like, oh, I'm athletic, I'll make the team this year. I needed to practice every summer to get better. And then the same principle followed me in high school. I wasn't that good in high school. I had to fucking work to make the Fordham Prep high school team. And I did. And I worked to make the team. I was a bench player. Then I worked my way up to being their 6th man. And then I worked my way up to being almost scouted by Iona College to play for the college team. And during that time, the football coach at Fordham Prep poached me. And he said, during the off season of basketball, I want you to come do track and field for field. He goes, we got shot put, discus, and javelin. I'll give you all a try. You're a big dude. I was strong. I went to the gym. He goes, you're working out. Like, I think we can help you during the off season for basketball. Give it a try. So I did. And I became number 10 in the state of New York for discus. I broke a bunch of records. I stopped basketball junior year of high school. I had about 25 different Division II scholarship offers from colleges to do discus, believe it or not. Yeah, wild shit. But,
wild.
Yeah, really wild. And it was just discipline, man. Like, I would get to school before school started, like 6 in the morning to hit the weight room. Then I would go through school, then I'd practice after school, and then I'd go home, and then I would do some homework, and then I'd practice a little bit more after. Like, this is all I know is discipline for what my goal is, because I was never naturally gifted in anything. So I've always had to work. And a lot of people never saw that. They don't know this about me. And again, the kids I went to grammar school that saw me in the beach club those days, they saw that. They saw that fucking lunatic kid practicing basketball in the fucking heat, never playing, never hanging out, just working. Because that's all it was. I know that's what's going to get you to your goal. And I saw that with my father. My father worked 3 jobs growing up. My grandfather, like I said, waking up in the morning to open up the pizzeria. He'd get to the pizzeria early as shit to turn on the ovens, make the pies. He had a big account. It was high school locally. And he'd be there every single day until he was 81 years old. Yeah. Like on his feet, grinding, working, discipline. And it's like you can get to where you want to be if you just put in the work and say no to everything else. So I've been so good at doing that. I've just had to shift the things I had to say no to and shift what my yeses were for in the future. From, hey, I can't hang out, I got to go play basketball now. Hey, I can't hang out, I have to grow and build my business. And it's just been the same thing for me for 2 decades. So I'm used to it. It's not new to me. It's just a different way and a different thing. But that's really me, man. It's just who I am fundamentally. And I just know if I want to get to where I want to be, I can, but I have to work for it.
Well, I think it's also an appreciation and a hunger for the mundane day to day.
Yeah.
And, just practicing. And then now the reps that you put in day to day that people don't see is something that is what's going to win a championship, what is going to get you to your goal.
Yep.
And it's funny because I was talking to the first selectman at Greenwich in an episode, and he said the same thing. He was like, it's the things that I do from day to day, and those are the things that really get results. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you've dedicated any goal and understanding. And I think that's something where I find a little bit of irony because of how your business is built around social media, where oftentimes in social media, it's really just marketing the end result. Mm-hmm. Not many people are really tracking the day-to-day work in a way, and if they are, it's in a glorified way. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, maybe provide have a comment on that irony?
I mean, I guess I kind of see it. It's more like, to me, where it comes down to, like, I've done these things for so long where I don't need to show that type of thing. I want to show because again, people work with people that like, know and trust. So for me, I break down that barrier of just showing who I am as an individual, that if you like me and you trust me, you're going to be willing to give me a chance to work with me. And then the proof is going to speak for itself in that aspect. Now, I also built a strong word of mouth business because I do right by all my customers, whether it's delivering on the service and the expectation I set before I started working with them, whether it's giving them leads and clients through my network, promoting them, doing the services exception, whatever the case is, right? So that's strong in and of itself, where a lot of these, people you see market, they're doing a lot of promotionary stuff. I don't want to be a promoter. I'm not a promoter. I'm a business owner at the end of the day. I want to attract other like-minded people that want to work with me and get a result that they're looking for if I can help them. I've turned business down because I'm like, hey, I don't think we can help you. And my goal and what we do in our marketing agency is we can't help you go viral. If someone wants to go viral, we're not a fit for them. We're not working with them. We can help you generate business from social, period. That's it. You can have 500 followers. You can have 5,000. You can have 50,000. We'll help you make money from your following because you have to know the right things to do. But the virality thing, that's not my route, right? So it's a whole different animal that I would have to promote a different way if I wanted to go that way. But like to your point too, kind of the day-to-day stuff, right? The day-to-day is what actually builds a success. I was taught from young, and my father always taught me one thing: you can achieve anything you put your mind to. Now, my father, when he told me this, I don't know if he actually believed that. Like, if I told him I wanted to be the president, he'd probably be like, no, you can't be that. Like, pick something else, right? Like, but it's the reality. Now, we laugh. But
he probably didn't think you'd be all St. Discus.
So he didn't think I know NBA players that I'm friends with that he used to watch on TV. Like, I'm friends with John Starks. Like, my dad used to watch John Starks. Like, these are crazy things now in today's day and age, right? That I'm able to meet the people that he was like, these were glorified celebrities to him. And back then, though, and we laugh at that joke of like, he didn't believe it, but we're taught at a young age. As you slowly get older, your parents and the peers of older around you, like whether it's teachers or principals, whatever the case is, they see your ability in school, right? Based on your ability in school, you're being steered in a direction of what you can and can't become, right? Maybe in your first grade. All right, Adam, you want to be an astronaut. Yeah, you can definitely be an astronaut. You're the first grade. You haven't showed if you're dumb or smart yet. By the fifth grade, Adam's a little fucking shot in the head. I don't know if he can be an astronaut. Maybe he can be like a doctor, right? We're going to lessen the load. Then by eighth grade, Adam's not smart enough to be a doctor. Maybe Adam could be like an engineer, right? So now we have these predetermined things of what we can or can't become based on the educational level at such a young age.
Yeah.
I never had that barrier. I always just thought if I believed it, I could fucking achieve it. And I just had to put in the work to get there. And that's an advantage that most people will never have in their lifetime because they're taught from such a young age, oh, you can be anything you want. But then when they actually say what they want to be, whether it's the president, the astronaut, the doctor, the lawyer, why don't you be a little more realistic? Because your friends and your family, they don't want you to get hurt. So if they don't think you can be a doctor, they don't want to see you try to become a doctor and fail because they think that's going to shatter you. So instead of like, oh, Adam, you probably be better at a teacher. And now you just lessen your goal because of their premonition of what you can and can't become. So fortunately for me, I never had to have that because of that mindset my dad instilled in me, thank God, to this day. But what you said comes down to the day-to-day stuff where you've been to my golf outing. It's the largest golf outing in the country. There's no golf outing that gets that large. It's just not a thing. Like, this is not, golf outings aren't made to be an event like that. 288 golfers had 1,500 people at the cocktail this year. That event is put together solely through 8 months leading up to it of the day-to-day. Bottom line. Yeah. People are like, oh, this is so cool. You put those together.
I know that because you're impossible to reach.
Yeah, it's so difficult. I'm dealing with thousands of people to coordinate that event. Like, I had 53 vendors that showed up on the holes for the 36 holes. It takes me about 400 vendors to ask to get that many. Like, people don't even realize that, how many no's you get just to get the yeses, and then you have to confirm, right? Yeah. And people are like, oh, just
you got to kind of court them for 8 months.
Yes. Like, to make sure, like, hey, you still on board? Oh, no, I got to drop 2 weeks later. Great, I got to update my CRM now, right? So it's all these little things, but that event is put together in the day-to-day for such a long duration of months to get there. People don't see that. People don't know that. People never host an event. They'll never understand that. You get it. You're involved. You're involved in events. You know what goes into these things, but a lot of people think that event just happens. Oh, Tony knows a lot of people. Man. He does a few posts. Yeah. Most of the people that show up to that event are not because of a post. Yeah. It's because I've reached out to them personally. I'm calling them. Every main sponsor gets a phone call. Like, there's so much that goes into it that people just think it just happens, but the just happening is the day-to-day.
Bro, I love that. And, right now, it goes right back to relationships. I want to pivot and how do you manage your personal relationships? I think
they're all the same to me. I don't really have any non-business. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good question for me. It's personal. I have my sister, my dad, my aunt, my grandparents. Yeah. That's like family. I have my girlfriend, personal, and everyone else's business. Like, no one, I don't think I'm really friends with anyone that can't like, it's just not. I don't have the time for that. I'm not at that point in my life where I can have all these extra relationships that aren't going to be conducive for me or that individual. I really look at it that way. Like, if I can't add value to you, can't value me, like, we're just not a good fit for a relationship at this point in our lives, or maybe ever. Who knows? But I have so many good relationships already that I have to focus on them that it wouldn't be fair to take away from the ones that I have such good relationship rapport with to do something else that's not even conducive to either of us. Yeah. So everything to me, there's no difference in business and personal, which is why, like, I was with Austin yesterday, my buddy, the insurance guy, he was on here, and he was telling me he got a CFO, and I was like, oh, cool, like, who do you have? And he goes, oh, it's a friend of mine. I was like, oh, you hired, like, he goes, no, he has, like, he's like all your friends have businesses. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. Like, that's just the nature of my life now. It's just by design, anyone that I'm interacting with, they have some type of business. We become friends. The business is a secondary thing, but we're friends because we're both on that same trajectory of we're entrepreneurs and business owners and professionals. We can help each other out. Yeah, I mean, do you think that, I guess what I was really getting at, like, I know for me, it's like when I'm leaning into my business and my work and whatnot, the time that I allocate towards my personal relationships sometimes suffers. And do I feel bad about it? Absolutely. Figuring out that, like, work-life balance for me was somewhat of a struggle. Yeah. So then if that was a struggle, I'm probably not going to be a good person to help you with that specific thing, because my answer is there's no balance if you want to be really great at what you want to do. And that's, again, a tough pill you have to swallow, I think, and know balance is bullshit. Like, it's just not reality. Like, there's no balance with the top guys in any industry if you look across the board. Like, you just don't have time to have that balance. Now, how do I have some semblance? Because, again, my balance is probably like 95% to 5%, which that 5%, like, they appreciate it because they know how much of the other time I give to the business. But I still try to marry the personal time with, like, my family by going to places of business that I'm friends with. So that's took my dad out to Father's Day. I went to One Rare Steakhouse. I'm great friends with the owner. So now we did a Father's Day thing, my dad and my sister, and I'm doing a relationship with someone that supports me for the event, the outing. We do business together. So, like, that's my way of bridging even when I go out on dates with my girlfriend, I only go to places I know the owner. I will not go, I don't have the time. Yeah. I have so many places that I know people at. I have to go show them love. How the fuck do I have the time to go to some place I don't even know the person? To me, that's not right. Like, they're supporting me. They're helping with the outing. They're helping with this. They're doing this event. Whatever the case is, I owe it to them to go and continually support them. So I do those conscious things of, okay, I can still go out with my girl, or if she wants to go out with her friends and we do a double date one night, I'm picking the place and we're going to go to a place that I know the owner. So I can go show support and love to them while still doing something personal at the same time. It's a win-win all around. And that's something that's helped me at least be able to have a little more of the balance, I guess, and do more of the personal things, but still have a tie to business in some way, shape, or form that I don't feel guilty for not doing anything business related in that moment.
Yeah, one of the things I like is how you folded your sister into the business, and now she's doing her thing.
Yep.
With known as meatballs.
Yep.
And
Biscottis.
What?
The biscottis.
And
Yeah, you said meatballs. What meatballs are you talking about?
isn't it like known as meatballs?
No.
Isn't it meatballs?
No, I make meatballs.
Oh,
I
okay.
make meatballs and vodka sauce. I make a good vodka sauce. Very
Yeah?
good meatballs too.
Hell yeah, man.
My grandma, she makes the biscottis.
The biscottis. Okay, I don't know why.
I don't know.
Do you
It's okay.
have a video of you guys?
Me making meatballs. Yeah.
You
Yeah, I posted a few times.
with your nonna.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was like,
we don't sell them though. No.
Really, you should. Like the way I saw the video, I was like, oh, cool. Like you got known as meatballs. Like this is a brand. Well,
I'm gonna do a vodka sauce one day. That'd probably be like a future thing.
hell yeah, man. You know, I think you like the way you channel your purpose into just relationships and business and just mutual growth amongst all your connections. What do you think is the most valuable skill that you've honed, and what would you define your purpose as?
Start with the skill and then the purpose. I think the skill, I don't know, relationship building is a skill, but I guess that's somewhere around the line of semblance of being
you're a connector.
social. I'm a connector. I enjoy it though. Like it's a passion of mine. That's why I started the circle, the networking community I have. Because I'm just genuinely passionate about like connecting.
You're also a marketer.
Yeah, I just happen to be a marketer by trade. I'm a business guy. I just love connecting people, right? But my big thing is just, I don't know, man. I just have this. So my grandfather, right, Italian guy, old school. When I was younger, we'd go to the restaurants. He was always the guy that people knew him. Like we'd go to the restaurant. He knew the owner. Now he tipped. Now he didn't know as many places as I know. We went to a few of the same places continually. But every time the owner comes out, the waiter comes out, tip him in the pocket, treat him right. Oh, Gaetano, you're here. Great. You got the family, the kids. How are you, little Tony? Whatever, right? I always wanted to be the guy that was the guy. And I guess I slowly became, like, again, my brand's the Godfather of Instagram, and I guess you never really think or look into these things, but I slowly became the Godfather of this area, like Westchester, where the good things of the Godfather, like the Godfather helped the community, right? I'm not doing the bad shit, but like he was someone that helped the community. The community felt safe, and my thing is I help bring the community value by giving connections and putting people on. So like whether it's just promoting a local business that I just enjoy eating at, they get customers because of me going. Like it's wild. And that's a feel-good thing that I'm the guy to help bring that together. So I think the skill set is just people, like just being able to good with people and dealing with people of all different types, shapes, sizes, ages, demographics, industries. Are they generational business? Are they a self-made business? Like all those little nuances. I just love dealing with people, and I think that's a really powerful skill that I've been able to hone in on. That's just been natural to me, and I've just sharpened it over time by not even trying to. Like it's just me. It's who I am. And I would say, like, if you strip everything away from me, like we were talking about before, like trying different things and failing, the only thing I would tell everyone to focus the most on is just Rolodex, relationships. I can start anything. I can quit. I can fucking stop everything I'm doing today, and I would still be okay.
Lean into
my relationships. Hey, I'm starting this now, and now it'd be different people I got to lean into a little bit more, or ask, or guidance from, or help from, whatever the case is. But I can start anything from that relationship that I've built through the years now, that book, the Rolodex pretty much. So that's probably the most valuable asset I have. Purpose-wise, it's a good question, man. Like when I first started, my wife was my sister. Like I always want to do everything to show her a life that we never had because we grew up together. Like that's my homie, right? She's 6 years younger than me, and it was always just like, hey, if I can do it, you can. Why not you? Hence the name of the company, right? And now my purpose has shifted. Of course, it's still always going to be her to show her like what's possible because I'm still just getting started. I just turned 30. Like I still have a very long time. I've only been in business full time for 5.5 years, which isn't that long. I've been doing the hustle and entrepreneurship for 20 years, but business 5.5. So my wife's now shifted to becoming the best version of myself to be able to help as many people as I know I can possibly help. Because I've helped so many people already along the way, and I feel like I haven't done much for myself yet. So I can't imagine when I do get to where I do want to be and know who I can become, how many more people I can help on that journey. And that fuels me, man. Like me just being able to go into a local business and help them get more customers just because I promote them or say something about them positively, like that drives me, man. That's my purpose. Like I have a gift that if I don't do the things that I know I can with these gifts, that I'm doing myself a disservice to all the people that I know I can't help. And that's why I'm so passion driven. That's why I work so much all the time, because I'm like, I know what I can do, and me not doing is a disservice, and it's irresponsible, I feel like.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I'm super close with my sister, and that's kind of the same thing where she's the older one, but when it comes to really being the extrovert and going out and harnessing relationships and building relationships, I'm better at that. Mm-hmm. And I do feel that, obviously, parents age, and at the end of the day, it's going to be just me and her.
Yeah, that's the reality. Yeah.
That's just
God willing, at least, too.
Yeah, God willing. Yeah, that's the reality of life. So really fortifying that bond with my sister, which happened a little later on in life, where is really, really important.
How much older is she than you?
14 months.
Oh, so you guys are much closer in age range too.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because, growing up, she's the older sister, and then, when you become a man,
Yeah.
you're
stepping up now to be the older brother
taking
in a
that
way.
senior role.
Yep.
Almost organically, it just happens. I love what you said about like being the Godfather on Instagram and being your brand. Is there ever a period where you're just like, all right, like I need to unwind. It's a lot, encompassing a brand and everything, and obviously having that image, when you sit down and you're at home and you're just Tony Peck, what do you do to make sure that you're energized to tackle the next day?
So there's no disconnect from when I'm home or when I'm not. Like I'm always just me. I just, it's funny. When I first started building the brand online, I know what this is going to get into. Like I just built it just because I had the free time. I was done with school. I was trading stocks. That's what I started with.
No shit.
I was like, let me make an Instagram page. I called it Ace of Trading. I was like, maybe I'll sell like a trading course in the future. And the page took off, and I ended up making 14 other accounts. And in 4 months, I had over 400,000 followers across all of them. That's kind of how the whole thing started. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make one of the pages my personal page. And in the beginning days, and again, I went to school for engineering. No idea about marketing, business, none of that stuff. What can I build my brand around? Now I'm thinking, I'm like, who should I become someone that people like? I'm like, what, fuck this. Because if I actually do, God forbid, I become big on social, like I don't want to have to be someone I'm not just because of what I built online. Now when I'm in public, I have to be this certain way. So I was like, I'm just going to be me all the time. I curse. I don't give a fuck. If you don't like me cursing, we're not going to get along. Like, just unfollow me right off the rip. Like, I love that. Like, I almost pre-qualifying people into my life based on me being as real as I possibly can on social. And if you don't like it, we're not going to be a good fit. Like, good. And not everyone's going to like you. It's the reality. I don't like everyone. Absolutely. Everyone's not going to like me. It's the reality, right? So I said, I'm just going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to be who I am. I wear my tracksuits. I wear jewelry. I like cat. Like, this is who I've been before I was social media, right? So nothing's changed. It's just always be me. Now, the energizing part's a great question because I'm constantly around people. I'm going to events all the time. I'm constantly shaking hands. I'm on phone calls throughout the entire day. And when I get home sometimes, like it's more of a tougher thing probably on personal, like girlfriend relationships, I would say, where that's where it's sometimes like, hey, I just don't want to talk. Like, oh, but you're talking all day long. Like, well, that's the thing. It's now 11 o'clock at night. I've been out since 8 in the morning. I just don't want to talk, but I'm not doing anything. Now I'm answering DMs. I just want to do like my busy work. But I like to do some busy work in silence. That's why I love having a cigar and I can just go crank out messages and do busy work. And people see me post like at the country club, like I'll have a cigar for 8 hours straight. Like if it's a silent day, I'll bang out work 8 hours undisturbed in silence. I'm okay with that. Like it's a little serial killer-ish, but that's just how I operate, right?
Not at all.
Like on a Saturday, Sunday too, especially, those are my best busy work days because I decide to go. And I'll spend about like 12, 14 hours a day on Saturdays and Sundays each day just doing busy work, answering messages, going through emails, going over the next week game plan. That's kind of when I guess re-energize for the week. Yeah. And sometimes I have weekends where there's an event or two that I got to go to. I got to have dinner with someone, whatever the case is. But most of the time I try to keep the weekend time as quiet as I possibly can for busy work. Because I get, sometimes I get like 500 DMs a day. I can't fucking answer all the day. I get 2,000 texts a day. Forget about the DMs. Like, there's no way I can keep up with everything. So those days are like really important for me to like, go through as much as I can. But those are times where it's like, hey, I'm more, like, let me just get a breather here. We can talk. But it's tough because I'm talking all the time to so many people. And then I'm not with the girl. And then it's like, oh, hey, now I'm with you. Like, let's talk. And it's like, I need a breather for a second. That's kind of where I recharge. And while I'm single, it's always been easier because I never had to have that back and forth. That's when I could just be quiet. But now having a girl, it's like makes it a little bit difficult. And that's just vulnerability and the reality of life and business. And
dude, I love that. Yeah. I love that because I'm the same way where it's like I get home and I call it decompressing. Yeah. And sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. And it's because I'm so overstimulated throughout the day. It's like when I'm in my personal space, it's like, I just need to like chill and just sort everything out and respond here.
I want to catch up on stuff. Like, even though she's having a little banter, throws me off catching up on. Let me just get through it all. I'll be here. We'll do date night tomorrow, or whatever the case is. Like, let me do this. I had a lot of phone calls today where like my girl, she likes talking on the phone. I'm on the phone all day. So I don't want to talk on the phone when it's for leisure. And she's like, well, you're on the phone all day, so what's the big deal? And to me, it's like, well, because I'm on the phone all day, I don't want to be on the phone with you just for the leisure. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, let's just do like, we don't have to be on the phone. I'm on the phone all day. Like, it's a lot. Like, that's where I need my breather. And that's the tough little back and forth and the ebbs and flows. And, I give her a lot of respect and a lot of props for handling me and dealing with me because I know I'm not easy to deal with. And I don't think many entrepreneurs or business owners are easy to deal with in a relationship. So props to all the men and the women that, are dating or married to a significant other that is an entrepreneur or business owner.
Hustles,
It's fucking real. It's hard. It's not easy. And again, you're going to have a different lifestyle. Like if she wants to go on vacation, a week in advance, like I can do that. Like so, you have the flexibility, right? It's,
yeah.
It's the ebbs and flows. You get the good, you get the bad, and like even me too. Like it's cool, and she gets it. Like I don't think she realized until I had the outing. She's like, okay, like
yeah, because
you're meant to do. You're doing big.
That's
things.
what
like,
you were doing.
Yeah, like she goes,
Like
okay,
seeing the end result.
Yeah, like she sees it because I'm always doing the work when I'm with her, but to see it, like
it's
okay,
not tangible.
It's not tangible, and you see like, this is you're meant for something greater. Like I'll let you do your thing. Like I get it. This isn't normal shit. Like I got you, and then she's there for support, and that's it's tough, but it's possible.
One of the things I wanted to talk about also was your fitness journey, because I think that's really important. I remember meeting you early on when we first met, and you're like, listen, like I'm going through this, and I really need to get back on the grind. You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
You look great, bro. And when you made a commitment to your fitness journey, what things did you have to change?
So, well, Adam's actually you were a big proponent of helping me with my fitness journey. So thank you. And I'm going to get into that part of it, but I'll start with the beginning. Like I was telling you guys before, I was always a fat kid growing up. I always got made fun of for being fat. They would scoop my boob like back in the day, like the whole thing, the scoops. If you're watching, you know what I'm talking about, So always grew up being a large kid and always got made fun of for it. And then high school, I really got into fitness. I loved going to the gym. I was obviously playing sports, but I got really into the gym. Had a good physique going into college. Sophomore year of college is probably where I peaked. I was 250, just solid muscle. I was repping out like 4 or 5 on the bench, like for 5 reps. I was a fucking animal in college. And then slowly, sophomore year ended, junior year started, and I kind of got into more about like making the money type of thing, going to the lounges. So I got a little less on the gym, a little less on the good food, more bad food, less working out, and then it just became no gym, only bad food. And I really took a turn for the worse, and then I jumped into having my own business after college ended, where that was tough because I had no money, I didn't know anything what I was doing, and it was just fast food every single night just to eat, and I would sleep in my office 5 nights a week. So that's where I got really big and really unhealthy really fast. And then it came to a turning point a few years after that in the business. I haven't been to a doctor a very long time. Probably in the last decade, I've been to a doctor twice. I just don't believe in it. I'm more like the holistic. Like I don't take supplements or pills like tea, turmeric, lemon, ginger. That shit works. That helps you, and it's better for you, I think, internally. So I just stayed away from them. Ended up going to a doctor, and I took my blood work and everything, and he's like, you're pre-diabetic. I was like, well, what the fuck does that mean? That's scary. I think I'm 30 now. Maybe I was 27, maybe 28, probably 27. And he goes, you're pre-diabetic. I was like, well, shit, like, does this mean I'm going to definitely become diabetic? Like, what can I do? Like, well, is this too late? Like, is it reversible? He's like, well, you can either take the pill, and you can stay on the pill, and you'll be fine, or you have to get, like, much healthier. So, like, I'm going to get healthier then. I'm not going to take this fucking pill. I'm still too young to be on a pill for the rest of my life, and it's going to give me more effects in the future. Fuck that. So, started getting healthier then, and that was in the winter of, 2024, 2020, I think 2022 or 2021. In the wintertime.
That's around the time we met.
Yeah, right around the time we met. So I started getting a little healthier then, and it shifted more with products. So like instead of like bad chemical stuff, I was getting like more organic. And so everything I have at home now, it's mouthwash to toothpaste to detergent to body wash to hand soap to just fucking fabric softener or Febreze type of stuff. It's all organic, clean products. So I was like, these are the things I can control in my life that are going to be harming me in the future anyway. Let me start with those. And then it became, I'm throwing everything out of my house that's not good food. So I don't have anything bad to eat at home, and if it is it's a snack, it's a healthy snack. It's like a organic ground chicken stick or like a really healthy chocolate bar, like things that are just pure and natural. So that was my first shift because I was like, I can't cut this stuff out, right away. I'm not used to this. I'm used to eating like my you guys are gonna laugh at this. My cheat meal back in the day was I would just eat a jar of Nutella with a spoon. That was it. Like the jar of Nutella, open it up, spoon, and a quart of milk. That was my snack in college. People know me in college. They know this. This is a real thing. If not that, I would polish off a box of Devil Dogs and a box of Yodels. Those were my combo. 2 of them.
Nutella Tony.
So these are real things. So I was like, I was super unhealthy.
Product placement here.
Yeah. Nutella sponsor me. So I was like really unhealthy. So like to go from that to like, hey, you're pre-diabetic and you're going to be diabetic if you don't change the shit. I'm like, well, fuck, this is a lot to shift in a short span. So I was like, well, I'm not going to give up like eating my vodka sauce. So I would go to the organic market. I still buy from Mom's. It's an organic market. And they have like a non-dairy vodka sauce with really healthy like pasta. It's just like semolina, nothing else. And I slowly started eating those things instead of what I was eating. So instead of going to Candlelight to get fucking 25 wings, I would get the cauliflower crusted pre-frozen chicken tenders from Mom's. I have like 7 ingredients and they're 500 calories for the whole bag. I can polish the whole bag off and I'm not going to fucking get a heart attack. This is great. Yeah. So those small changes helped me. And this is probably right when I met you. Then I got hit with a gout attack. I was doing so well with the pre-diabetic stuff. I was slowly getting changed. I was going to the gym. I was going to Planet Fitness at the time. And then I had a gout attack. And you guys don't know, gout attack, it's known as like the king's disease. So it's like known for people that have money because you really get gout from red meat, a lot of steak, shellfish, alcohol, and sugars. Those are like the 4 main things. And me, I'm a big steakhouse guy. I never had a steakhouse before I had a business, but since being in business, I got turned on to steakhouse. I do a lot of client dinners there. I take a lot of people out there, and sometimes I'll do a steakhouse twice in a day. So a lot of red meat. And I was eating that, plus the shellfish, plus I drink when I go to events. I've cut that out pretty much entirely with the drinking just casually. Like for 2 drinks, it was a waste for me. And that all happened. Then it all hit me at once. I woke up one morning. I thought I broke my ankle. I get out of bed. I fell on the floor. I was like, what the fuck? It's my left ankle. I couldn't walk. I limped to the urgent care. The guy touches my ankle. He goes, you got gout. I said, what? Like, you going to do an x-ray? You sure, doc? Like, I feel like it's a broken ankle. He's like, no, 100% you got gout. He goes, pulls up my blood work. He goes, oh, yeah, last time you did blood, God knows how long, you had high uric acid, which is the leading indicator to gout. I was like, yeah, the doctor told me to stay away from red meat. I don't have as much. He goes, well, what did you eat the last 2 days? I told him. He's like, it's not just red meat. He goes, it's the shellfish, the alcohol, and the sugars. So my espresso martinis, plus my wine, plus my clams, plus all that stuff. Mushrooms aren't even good for gout. Spinach, I was like, I didn't know. I thought it was just steak. Yeah. He goes, it's a lot more than that. I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, what can I do? And this is like a big pivotal moment for me. He's like, well, you could take the pill, and it'll cause it to go down, and then you can get on another pill pretty much for the rest of your life, and you can eat whatever you want. I was like, well, what about no pills at all? He goes, well, no one doesn't take the pill for the flare-up because it's excruciating pain. You can't put a bed sheet on it. Like, it's that painful. Really? Anybody that has gout or has a family member, it's the most painful. It's pretty much a kidney stone, but that's the only other comparative to give it to someone else. Like, it's another version of a kidney stone, and it's just pins and needles. Your fucking foot, my ankle was so inflamed, red, hot. Like, feels like needles are coming through. Really? Couldn't put a bed sheet on it. He's like, you got to take the pill, otherwise it won't go down. And then once it goes down, then you can start getting healthy, and then you can avoid having to take the pill so you can eat whatever you want. I said, I'm not taking any pills. So I go home, and luckily I have a business. I was able to reschedule. I have 2 business partners too, which is great. They were able to stay in the field. I can do Zooms if I had to. If not, I'm just going to reschedule everything. It took me 14 days to walk again. 14 days I was on my recliner, twiddling my ass, getting healthy. Lemons, water, cherry juice. I learned everything about gout. I created a Godfather guide. I called myself the Godfather during that span, and good marketing stuff, right? And I ended up creating a gout guide that I gave for people for free, because when I posted about the gout, people were like, oh my God, my brother has this, my aunt has this, my uncle, my father, my dad, my cousin, blah, 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 blah. All these people have gout. And they're like, just take the pill, take the pill. I'm like, I'm not taking the pill. I'm going to do research. I was home. Why not? 14 days. I'm not taking the fucking pill. And I learned all the things about raises uric acid level that would cause gout, things that lower it, and things at a baseline. And I compartmentalized everything that's good, bad, and in between. And I put on an Instagram note, and I sent it to whoever, asked me for it, and it helped some other people with their journey on gout. So 14 days of that, finally come out of the kicker. Then I was like, well, I need to change my fucking life. I can't have this happen again. I'm 29 years old. I shouldn't be able to walk. Like, this is unexceptional. This is unacceptable to me. This was leading up to the golf outing last year. So that happened April 1st. It was the flare-up. It took me 14 days, so I was back on my feet April 15th. The golf outing was June 15th. So I literally had 2 months from the gout attack to the golf outing, which is tough because I go around to get all the gift cards from restaurants. When I go and ask for a gift card, I like to eat the food there to support them. So now I'm getting all this food. I have to really be healthy with the choices. I'm not drinking at all, be really strategic. And then right after the outing, me and you spoke a little bit more. You were working with Equinox at the time. Yep. And you were like, why don't you come over here? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not that big into the health. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's for me. Like, it's expensive. Should I do it? Blah, blah, blah. Like, just give it a try. And thank God you pushed me on it. I joined July 5th, Equinox. I go to the one in Scars. I'm still a member there to this day. And it changed my life because it started giving me a purpose for wanting to go to the gym. Because I was meeting like-minded people that have businesses. I was networking in the gym. I loved the steam room. The steam room was great for the gout stuff. And all I knew was Planet Fitness before that. And before that, I went to like a meathead gym when I was younger in high school because I was in better shape, right? So I didn't know anything different. And Equinox really, really helped change me because, again, it was more like I look forward to going to the gym. Like, it's clean, it's nice, the people are great, it's not too big. I'm not trying to be a meathead, man. I'm trying to live longer. I care about longevity. And it really gave me the opportunity to stay on track. 3 months went by, I ended up losing 80 pounds. And I was doing so good. And recently, before this, right after this outing, we had the outing on Thursday. Sunday morning, I woke up with my next flare-up. So I've had 2 flare-ups now. Same thing, 14 days it took me to kick out of it. Because I kind of rescinded a little bit leading up to this golf outing. Same thing, I go to all the restaurants. Yeah. And I was like, I feel okay. I'll eat a little bit more, and just built up again. And now I'm back into the health journey, back on track.
That's awesome, man. And it's cool because a lot of people wouldn't make that decision. They're just listening to the doctor, and they would wait for it to go away, and they deal with the flare-ups. Yeah, when they spread up, and they don't really change anything about their lifestyle, making a change, and also like committing yourself to Equinox, and I see it all the time when you're there, and I think that's amazing, and that's something same thing with me, like with that environment at Equinox, like I love fitness, but I'm not trying to be
I'm not
the
competing.
Hulk anymore.
Yeah, it's not realistic. I used to want to be that, but
Yeah.
that's not.
It's more about feeling good and living longer.
Yes, I want to live longer, man. That's my only goal. If I can do anything to prolong, that's why I do. Like I said, even the organic supplements. Like I only take like my detergents, my cologne. I have healthy colognes, organic cologne. Like
Really?
I don't even use like regular name brand colognes. People
Gucci
don't know
make
that.
organic?
No, they don't. It's this company
Shit.
called Dime. Shout out Dime. They're a small boutique brand. Me and my sister use them. Yeah.
The product
So-
placement kills you. Oh my
You know,
God.
but stuff like that, man. It's like those little things are things that I can't control. Because I was literally I was home for 14 days. I couldn't walk. Like imagine me. I'm out every fucking day.
Yeah.
Like my early nights is when I walk in at 9:30 and I'm like, oh, it's fucking early. My girl's like, you're mental. She's like, you know, that's not normal. But
Yeah.
to me, that's an early night. I was home for 14 days. So I was like, you know what? What can I order that I order normally that I can just replace with something good?
Yeah.
And anybody could do this, from your hair products to your detergents to your toothpaste to your mouthwash, right? Think about all those little things. Your fabric softener, your detergent, these things go into your pores. I got a filter for my shower to filter that water because that water is going into your pores too. And you know, I'm not the healthiest person, but I control what I can control at the minimum.
Yeah.
And then the big thing, like you said, what I had to do to change was I was in the gym 5-6 days a week. Like even if it wasn't to work out, even if I would just do cardio for 30 minutes, I would show up, hit the steam room for 10 minutes. I enjoy the steam room. That's my 10 minutes of solace. I don't put my phone in there. I just think. Jump in the cold shower. I'm doing at least 5,000 steps a day. I'm still committed to that. Drink a lot of water every day. I'm not a big soda guy, which is great. So I never had to worry about cutting soda out. I just don't like soda. I hate carbonation.
Yeah.
So that was an easy fix. So if you're drinking soda, I would cut that out too, obviously. I don't drink alcohol unless it's intentfully drinking alcohol. So like when I do events, I don't drink alcohol at events anymore. Like there's no reason to have two. Like me, I was like a 2 or 3 drink guy. I'm also 300 pounds. I don't feel 2 or 3 drinks.
Yeah.
I don't love vodka soda that much. I need to take. I don't care. I'm drinking
Yeah.
it just to be social.
Just have a club soda.
I'm just gonna I'm just fucking have water. I like water. Water's refreshing. So making that was a big difference, I think, because that was compounding to like 5 or 6 nights of drinking a week, but I didn't have to. So now it's like, yeah, maybe me and the girl go out. We'll have a bottle of nice wine. Like I'll pick my battles. So little things like that compound to the big things, and that's what it comes. It has to be a conscious decision, and I take it day by day. Every day is a new day. If I fuck up yesterday, today's a new day. Don't worry about the fuck up you had. Maybe you fucked up for 2 weeks in a row, and you got to get back on track. It's okay. Today's a new day, 0 of 1, and that's how I treat it. And that's been the best way to make it a lifestyle fix.
Dude, I love that. You know, we have been going for a little bit, and I'm
great.
sure you got things to do. I did want to close just by asking a couple rapid fire questions.
Sure.
The first is, what advice would you give to someone who is on the journey of finding their purpose?
Relationships. I think bottom line, man, if you're finding your purpose, get around other people that you want to be like. You're going to learn from them, and that's going to help you discover your purpose by being around those types of people that help you discover things that make sense for your purpose and things that don't make sense for your purpose. But it's tough to do it alone. So I think relationships, bottom line for that.
Awesome, man. And I totally agree with that. And the second question is, who are 1 or 2 mentors that really guided you through your journey?
It's good. I feel like I have so many mentors along the way, just in like different. I look at my life as phases of life, right? Like right now I'm in the grind mode. Like I'm gonna be working all day, every day. That's what I enjoy. That's the phase. And maybe at some point it becomes, hey, I'm going to travel the world and I don't have to work as much because that's the different phase. But along my journey so far, I've had so many different mentors, even if they've been like a small mentor, when I took away 1 or 2 things from them because they were a client or I met them at a cigar lounge. People attribute like mentors to be these large, overarching, like, he was my mentor. No, you can have, you know, I may have dozens of mentors, right? Just from, like I said, just some clients that I've learned so much from. But the 2 biggest mentors, probably my dad and my grandfather. Like my grandfather, by working alongside him side by side and seeing how again, he's an immigrant. Like he didn't know the language like that. That showed me what's possible, right? Without having that much. And then my father showed me work ethic too. Like just the hard work that he had. He would always be out of the house before the sun was up, and he was always home after the sun was down. I didn't see him as much as a kid. He always made it to my basketball game, so he was actively in coaching with that, which was awesome. But it meant that much more to me when he showed up because I saw how busy he was outside of that. So like those are the things I took away from them. And my dad, like I told you, instilling in me, you can achieve anything you put your mind to. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have that mindset that early on, and that's like in my psyche. So that's who made Tony Peck who Tony Peck is. I genuinely believe that. So those are my 2 biggest reasons of who I am and where I'm going.
Dude, I love that. I think that's a great note to end. Can you please let my audience know where they can reach you and what you got coming up?
Yeah, awesome. So you guys can find me on Instagram. It's my main platform, Tony Peck, TonyPEC_. And then coming up, I have my next public cigar networking event. It's going to be Tuesday, September 24th. I don't know if this episode's on air by then, but I do a cigar networking event every quarter. I have about 150 to 200 top business owners and professionals that come out, and I get about 15 different vendors. So I have like a carving station, filet mignon from a butcher.
I've been there. It's awesome.
It's a good time. I have a cigar roller, fresh mutz guy, so that's the next one. And then I have a private networking community, The Circle, which I have a 40% special going off right now. So it's only $30 for a month, which is $1 a day. I'm doing a private member-only event that's next week coming up. I do those like every 2 months. And then the people in the community, they get to network with each other. They can share their own events. They can promote their business, promote their service. They can ask for referrals. It's kind of like your hub to having a guy for everything you need without you having the guy originally, right? That's kind of like the mentality I have. It's like, hey, I know a lot of people. I can put together this ecosystem that everybody else gets a lot of people to now. And they have referral partners too.
Love that, Tony. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I look forward to everything that you have going on in the future and obviously continuing to grow our relationship.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is great.